Okay, so we have theme music. I don't know what it is, but we never know. So, yay, we're here to Pilates Chicks. I'm Hillary.
I'm Davita.
And welcome to episode 3 of season 4. Yeah, we could lose track. We don't even know what day it is.
It happens.
It does happen, especially for us. Last week was bad. What day is it? So, last episode, we talked about the psychology and personalities of clients, and we teased that we were going to go into a series. So here we are, first in the series.
A little psychology of clients.
And this is the bored client.
The bored
client. The one that looks bored or says I'm bored. Or are they really bored? Is it just you think that they're bored?
We're just afraid they might be bored.
Or that fear, especially when you're a new teacher. Oh my God, they're going to be bored. So let's kind of dive into this whole taking it from the client's perspective, maybe. Mm-hmm. Personality of that bored client. And why are they bored? And they actually verbally say, I'm bored.
Yeah, so if they actually
Can we do more? I'm bored.
I'm bored. Which always feels very rude to be told that.
Yeah.
But
in another setting, it would be rude, right? You're at someone's house. I'm bored.
Like, okay.
We're not here to entertain you, but we are here. So let's kind of think about it from their perspective in the psychology of their brain.
They're bored.
Coming from the client. So they're on the reformer, on the mat, whatever, and they look at you and they just say, I'm bored. You're not challenging me.
Yeah. And so why would they feel that or say that? We were thinking maybe they're not connecting in 100%. You know, mm-hmm. they're not there in the room with you.
They're not focused.
They're not focused. They're thinking about other things. Maybe.
And they don't know that. They don't know they're doing that. They think they're in it. They think they're working.
Yeah.
Because they're moving.
Right. But maybe, like, you can just be doing a million footwork positions, pushing.
I call it the coffee chat moment where people come in, they're like, la, 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 la. Yeah.
Yep. And just pressing and pressing. You're not connected. You're not thinking about it. And you're just moving. Mm-hmm. And sometimes people do need that if they come in and stressed and they need to just get moving. Like, just wipe your mind, just get moving.
Breathe.
But the client that's always like that and just bouncing through the reformer, and then they say, I'm bored. Well, okay, well, you're not listening to my cues. You're not listening to me, but we can't say that to them.
But we can think it.
We can think it.
But yeah, so it's like, you've got to like take that moment. We talked about it in the last episode about when you know, looking at, okay, why is this client thinking this? What is going on in their brain? And not just take it personally.
Yeah, and that's the first thing, not taking it personally.
Yeah.
It's coming from that client.
Yeah, so if you think about the client and maybe they're not putting the effort in, like you talked about, and they're not, I mean, how do we as teachers get them more engaged without saying, well, you're not doing the work and you're not putting in the effort, and getting them more engaged and getting them in that moment to realize the deeper that they get and the more they focus, the harder it will be.
Right.
That same exercise.
Yeah.
That they've done a million times.
And a lot of times the bored client will be then expecting you to throw very hard, fun, exciting exercises at them.
That they see on Instagram.
Yeah, they see on social media or they have seen somewhere before and they're like, oh, well, I want to do that because that's fun. They think they're bored because they're not doing that.
Yes.
But as the experts, as their teacher, we know, well, okay, they're not ready for that. Or maybe that's just completely contraindicated for their body, their issues. Precautions that they have, whatever pathology they're dealing with. So we're never going to give them that. Maybe we're not even going to build up to it ever. So how do we build them in and keep them from feeling bored or think that they're feeling bored?
It's like it's all in your mind.
Right.
We'll tell them that. You're just imagining you're bored.
It's your own problem.
It's your problem. But I think, like you said, not knowing that they're not going to get this, like, say they want to, like, do the inversions and flip over, and we know that they can't do that, and it would be totally dangerous for them, hurt them, whatever it is, or they don't have the bandwidth in that moment to go there. is maybe giving them something in the whole workout to say, okay, let's focus on this throughout the whole thing. And then at the end, we're going to give you a challenge point to pull that all together. Yeah. And that challenge point could be something that they've done a million times, but because we focus them on this whole body connection of whatever it was,
something specific,
it will feel different.
Yeah. And that's what we were talking about before, was we can give the board client the same thing they've done a million times, but maybe we change it, a variation of it. Like, we really tune them in to focus on a specific thing, a specific part of the body that we want them to be more connecting to. I think sometimes we forget we can change, like, pace. Like,
you can pick up the pace. You can slow it down. You can, like, I like to say, and I know you've heard this, as like, I like to say, I want to take you to the edge of that cliff where you feel like you're going to fall off, but you can stay on that cliff and not fall off.
I say my version of that is like bump up to your edge.
Yes.
So you're not going past what you should be doing or can do.
But you're like teeter-totter
getting to that edge of like what you can do. But we do have like levers that we can pull in our training that we don't always think about. That's not always just like, oh, let's throw a new like crazy exercise at someone. It's like a variation of something.
The flow of it.
The flow, the pace, the duration. Maybe you have them hold something longer.
That's my favorite thing. Like in a moment of like where they fling themselves into teaser or out of teaser. They fling themselves over in this and they're like just going through and then they're like, I'm bored, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, get to that moment where that's where they're getting lost.
Yeah.
And say, oh, can you just stay there for a
moment?
Now
hold it. And then they're looking at you.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Nope, keep holding it.
And they can't.
Keep reaching.
And they can't.
Yeah.
Because they've just been powering through.
Yeah, just flinging through things. I think those different levers that we have, those variables are, I think, more important than just, oh, okay, they're bored, let's give them this exercise and then this exercise.
Bring this at them.
Yeah, just all these different exercises, different like props, different like exciting things, quote unquote.
Yeah, or just, I've seen, and there's nothing wrong with this, because, teachers do, like where they make something up or, they kind of take something and they make it their own, which is fine if it's for that, my feelings, if it's for that client.
For a reason.
A reason. But it's kind of like if you give the client that consistency and then up the flow or up the pace or say, oh, that's really good, but can you and to get them even deeper into it.
Yeah.
They're going to be more challenged than just throwing these new exercises that in the moment is whatever.
Yeah.
But they're not going to really see or feel challenged.
Yeah.
In the long run.
Right. Because then let's say, okay, this new exercise you're giving to them, then they do that for many sessions in a row, and then, okay, now that's boring.
Exactly. Because it's going to go down that same path.
Because they still don't have that connection or that deeper root
and like
of
you
what
said,
they're
they're
doing.
not in it.
Yeah.
They're not present. They're not there.
Yeah. One of the things I was just thinking was transitions also.
Love transitions.
Which I love doing when you have me go through the mat work and come up into a ball and then from that come down into single leg stretch and then right into double and using the transition, stringing exercises together. So, okay, you're not
there's
coming
no
down yet.
Resting.
You're doing, there's no rest.
There's no rest.
Go, 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 go. That's another lever that we could pull and string things together.
Yeah, because that's when I just want to and I forgot who I was talking to. I don't know if it was us talking or somebody else. I don't know. But it was kind of maybe it was where it's that client is saying they're bored, they're not being challenged, and then, oh no, it was one of my students. And then you're going with them and you're trying to get them connected and whatever, and then they're like, ugh. And they just give up.
Oh, yeah.
It's they don't want to put the effort in. They don't want to. They want to be less bored. They want to be challenged, but they're not willing to put that effort in.
To get there.
So with those transitions, you see that.
Yeah.
And then
they just come out of it and just flop. But so then that's the client that, okay, well, that's another
whole layer to the whole
thing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you're bored. You're not connecting in. Now, when I'm trying to give you more, I'm trying. You're not meeting me.
And that's exhausting as a teacher.
It is.
It's really exhausting.
Like pulling someone along with you through the session is just exhausting.
Dragging them along.
Okay.
Oh my God, I can't carry you anymore.
And so for that person, we just do what we can. Like, you know, it's not, again, we can't take it personally. It's not us.
No.
They think they're bored, but they don't want to put in the work and they don't want to try. So, okay, they can say they're bored. We're just going to keep doing the session.
Because really it's not on the teacher in that moment, because you're trying to meet them halfway. And that's the thing with Pilates. It's like we can't do the work for them.
Yeah.
We're not in their body to push it to that point. They have to take it to the edge or to that cliff.
They have to meet us somewhere.
They have to meet us somewhere. So then you have that other aspect of this where and especially I feel like new teachers, because I know I had that fear. It's like, oh my God, they're going to get bored. And, you know, we've done this and they're going to get bored, and they may not be bored.
Yeah.
And they've not verbalized they're bored, but you feel like, oh my God, they're going to get bored. I need to like up it. I need to do this. And so there's that fear for the teacher.
Yeah.
And you placing it on that client that they're going to be bored.
Then you have a lot of anxiety yourself, putting that on yourself.
And then you're like, oh, I got to do this, and I've got to, you know, and then maybe there's that fear that takes over, that then you're putting this client into a position that they will fail, that they aren't ready for.
Because then you're just trying to throw new exercises at them.
Yeah.
Like we were saying, just throw it and see what sticks, because it's, woohoo, it's fun.
Spaghetti on the wall.
Yeah,
like you
said. And those are the people, I think, sometimes when we'll go to like a conference or a workshop and get all these new exercises, and then you come back and you try to do all these new exercises to make it fun, to make sure your client's not bored. But is there a reason we're picking those exercises?
For that person.
Not really. We're just like, oh, well, I don't want them to be bored.
Yeah. And it's a legitimate fear.
Yeah.
And even as a seasoned teacher, you can get those clients. And we talked about kind of the ones that give the looks, and there's that bored look.
Yeah.
And maybe they're not bored, but it's just this deadpan, and you're like panicked. It's like, oh, they don't like me. They're bored.
Yeah.
They've done this a million times. But I think giving them a focus, again, through the whole workout, or maybe a focus for, you know, hey, for the next whatever. This series of whatever, we're going to really focus and connect with this.
Yeah, with this body part or this idea of,
or whatever you feel their challenge point is.
Because then I think also as teachers, like we've all had the sessions when you're like looking at the clock, you're like, it's been 2 minutes. You're like, oh my God, I'm not going to get through this day. And just for whatever reason, like some sessions or some days are just long. And so then I feel like if I'm bored, then my client's bored.
Yeah.
And
because they're going to pick up on that.
Yeah. And the dragging out. And so, but if we are working with the client saying, okay, let's really focus on this thing today. So then we're focusing in on it with them.
We're interested as well.
We're more in the flow. We're more connected.
Yeah.
So then they are too.
Yeah.
So that's more easily bringing them along with us.
And I think, and we talked about this before we started today, is that whole flight attendant teacher that I talked about. So I feel like when the teacher is bored, you know, and kind of just going through the motions, and I've seen this a lot, and I know everyone has, especially at teachers that's been teaching a really long time, and they have back-to-back clients, and they're just kind of done, their passion's gone. And I call it the flight attendant, where it's like every single client that comes in, it's kind of the same verbiage, the same
cookie cutter.
Like you could be teaching to anybody, and I call it the flight attendant because, like, it's like if you watch a flight attendant, you know, it's kind of like
like the audio's going and the audio's
pointing this way, and unless you're on Southwest where they make the funny ones, but yeah, I feel like those moments where you have like that flight attendant aspect to the teaching, then that client's just going to be like, ugh, same thing. They're going to be watching the clock.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, and sometimes we all have those days where we're like, oh my God, I have a million people today. I didn't sleep well. I'm tired. Oh God. And so then, we get a little stuck in the rote, like
our Tuesday last week where we thought it was Thursday and we're like, what? It's like, how is this day?
And so it's okay when that happens. But if that's constant every week, every day, then we need to find those levers to pull. We need to find for ourselves. Yeah. For ourselves, for our clients.
Yeah.
What can we focus on more to get us more focused, to get them more focused, and just get in that flow.
Yeah. Because I feel like also it's easy for us as teachers to get into that, is it inertia? No, inertia. What is it? Where like they're bored, so we kind of get sucked into that kind of.
Like absorbing their
kind of absorbing that energy. Yeah. Because on the other extreme, if you go, like you said, where you're like having to drag them through and then we're exhausted. So it's finding that balance of how much effort are you going to put in
to them,
but they have to like meet you in that middle part.
Well, and that's the thing. If the client we're talking about, if they're just not meeting us, they're not.
Because there's some people that don't want to work out.
Yeah.
Like they don't like it. That's like, so, but they have to do it, right? They just like, I have to do this because my doctor or whatever. Or it's like everyone's doing it, whatever. But they don't want to be work. They don't want to do the work. Yeah. They want you to do the work.
Right. Exactly. So for those people, it's like, well, you know what? We do what we can do, and we can't do more than that.
No.
And that's okay.
And that's fine. But, if they say, I'm bored, it's like, well, I can't do the work for you. So it's like, I've had clients, and I know you have too, that you get from other teachers, or they've done other, they've moved from somewhere else, and they're just kind of, they've done Pilates forever.
Yeah.
And maybe the teacher they had was the same way. We're just letting them kind of go through the motions. So they come in and they're just kind of going through the motions, and they're like, well, I'm bored and I've been doing this for da-da-da-da. But then if you do what we just talked about and kind of go, well, in our overhead and our inversions, let's focus on this. And then only go where you can go maintaining this. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, I'm dying.
Yeah, it's so much harder.
Or,
oh, I never thought about it that way. I'm feeling all these different connections.
Because they've just been doing it so long.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of like a teacher just going through the motions.
Right.
Of, okay, yep, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're not really in it.
Yeah.
But they think they are.
They think they're doing it because they're moving.
Because they're moving.
But yeah, where's the mind? Where's the focus? And we've done 100 million, thousand, hundreds, right? But every single time you do it, it can be different. Where are your legs reaching today? How are you pumping through the arms today?
Or did the legs go off in the stretch for some bizarre reason?
Flying off to the side and like, oh, okay, I'm tight on that side today, so I have to reach more through that leg to counter it. And
that happened today with a client. She's new. It's her 12th session, and she laid down, and she was like tight on one side, and we hadn't really figured it out yet. But I was like, can you move your legs just a little more to this way? And she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so crooked. And I told her, I said, don't worry, and then we got something else, and I was like, she used, was the bar on the spine corrector, just kind of the stretch with the bar. Yeah. It was like all of a sudden her arm was like going back without the other. She's like, oh, and she visually saw something. Huh. And I said, that's fine. It happens all the time with everybody. But it's like, it gave her something for that whole series
to focus on,
to think, oh, this is what's happening today. So that's what we're going to, and I think that's what keeps people more challenged, even though she was doing really super simple things, because she can't do, like we talked about, those more challenging things right now. They were hard.
Yeah.
Because she was like, oh, I have to keep this like this, and I have to keep this here, and these have to move together. And she's like, this is really hard.
Well, that's the other thing. Just some coordination of some sort is so hard for people. So if somebody says they're bored or feels bored and they're not really paying attention, okay, well, if you ask them to do something with coordination of moving this over here while doing this over here, That's hard.
It's game over. It's like, I can't do that.
If they're not paying attention, if they then have to coordinate something, they have to pay attention.
Yeah, they have to be paying attention. Well, it's like the whole thing when you were doing, when we were on the Wenda chair and we were doing the kneeling push down. Like, yeah, I could just face plant right here.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. It's like, you got to figure things out because we've got this happening, this happening, this happening. Mm-hmm. Don't fall on your face.
Don't fall over. Do this and don't fall over.
And don't fall over. Don't fall off the box, please. But I don't know. So I feel like with the board client, it's really just giving them focus.
Yeah. Giving them focus.
Something to really dive into so that they don't feel lost. Because I really think them being bored is them just feeling lost or not connected.
Yeah.
Or just not entertained in their own way.
Yeah. I mean, and as the teacher, it's like, okay, we can go through the checklist of, are we teaching to their level? Like,
right.
Okay, are we giving them things that are too easy? Are they more advanced?
Do they need to, do we need to, like you said, pick it up, but just picking up the pace? Or do we need to do something that is going to be a little more coordination, a little more, less support?
Yeah.
Not that we have to have them flipping off and doing, squirrel or something.
No, but not so much.
Not so much.
But, yeah, maybe changing the weight a little bit, changing a hold somewhere instead of just keeping moving, holding something for longer, adding
really
those transitions, those different things that we can think about and be creative in that way without then having to just throw crazy new routines at them if they're not ready for that.
Right. Yeah. It's pretty, it's staying calm in that moment when that client is like, I'm bored. Because it is, it's like, oh my God, you just attacked me.
Yeah. You feel offended and you're like, oh, okay. But
I don't know how to help you. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But you can also say, sorry, we have an ambulance.
Sirens going by.
We're on Wilshire. Yeah. That happens. Totally lost. They made me lose my train of thought.
We're not concentrating.
Is also maybe asking the question. Well, what is feeling like, you're not being challenged? Instead of saying, why are you bored? But saying, what is it that's making you not feel challenged?
Yeah.
And see what they say.
Yeah. What do you feel like you're missing?
And it could be, I don't know.
Or if they say, well, I want to do this exercise. I'm like, okay, well, we can build up to that, even if it's something that you're never going to give them. Okay, we can build up to that. So let's do this and this, and we'll build up to that. But right now, we're not quite ready for that.
Yeah, it's kind of like doing handstands or headstands, right? Like that's your goal. It's like you're not immediately just going to go up in a
jump
handstand,
up into
right?
it. Yeah,
it's just not going to happen. So you build up. So it's kind of that same process with them.
Yeah,
is we'll build up to that, and then they never do it.
Yeah,
because you're like, no, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, maybe they'll forget about it, or
they will because then they won't be bored anymore.
And then sometimes people just are, and you just can't change somebody if they're not trying.
No, because we were talking about the personalities, and that just may be that they don't want to put in the effort. They really don't want to be there, and there's nothing we can. There's no way we can fix that.
Maybe also they're just the type of person that likes to complain about things. There's people like that.
Oh yeah,
and they just want something to say, and they're complaining, but they're not going to do anything about it. They're not going to stop coming. They're not going to yell at you.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, well, you can say you're bored, and now let's do this thing. There's that too.
Like, wish I hear you.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, we almost forgot our sponsor.
Oh, yes.
Yes, our sponsor is TheraBand.
Who we're sponsoring.
We're sponsoring. They don't know they're sponsoring, but we are sponsoring because I think it goes into, because the next one we're going to do, which applies with this board is props.
Talking about props.
But with I feel like, is there anything else we feel in regards to the board?
No, I think that's what we were talking about, and just trying to stay centered and calm in the moment, thinking about the different things you can change for the client as long as it's level appropriate for that body, for that person. Just thinking about those little things that we can change if needed, but then also just letting it go if it's just that as how that person
like you
is.
said, if it was just who they are, as a, that personality of. And also realizing that unless they verbally say they're bored, not to assume that they're bored.
Yeah.
Because maybe we've taught the 100 to someone 8 times that day because we had 8 clients.
Right.
But they've only come in once.
That's a really good point.
For the week.
Because we are doing this constantly. Yep. So we're doing it 5, 6, 7 hours a day.
Every day.
Every day, every week. They're here 1 hour, maybe 2 hours a week, usually. Maybe 3. And for us, it might be like, oh my God, I'm doing this again. But for them, they could be loving it. It could be
because they haven't done it all week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like to tell my students that because they're like, because we're doing like the order. And they're like, well, yeah, what if they get bored? And it's like, well, they're coming to you once a week, maybe twice a week. Maybe if you're lucky 3.
Maybe 3, yeah.
So, yeah, they don't have time to get bored about it.
Yeah. And then if they do, like we're saying, if they do
then just rewind this podcast. Because we fixed it all. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's good. I like those levers, like tempo, duration, pace. Yeah.
Yeah. Going to the edge of it. Or even taking them to that moment of being out of control and then saying, okay, how can you get that back?
Yeah. Go and find that control when we're feeling teeter-tottery.
Teeter-tottery, I love that word. Yeah. Like, I'm going to lose it. Like the one's up, one's down.
Yeah.
Falling and then off the cliff.
And you catch it and you find that balance. You're like, oh, that was good. I got it.
Oh, that was fun.
Nice.
See, that wasn't boring. We were talking about not boring clients. Oh, that was that. The bored client. So, yeah. So, basically, this whole series, because this is like the first one, we're going to kind of dive into like we did the bored, unchallenged client, the personality. And then the episode after will kind of feed into that in some way. So, the next one's on being proppy. To prop or not to prop?
That is the question.
That is the question. Well, that was fun. I'm Hillary.
I'm Davita.
And we'll listen to you next time. I'm like, oh my gosh, my brain. Oh, okay, guys. Thanks for listening.